Hey guy, how are you all beautiful people are doing? Hope all of you are doing fine, and yes, this is the next season of creating Naruto comics in Naruto world. Akaban was graduated from the University of Arts and Design in the 21st century, then suddenly traversed into the Naruto's world. By bringing my knowledge of arts and my love of Naruto comic, I decided to recreate Naruto comic here. So let's start without any delay. Murasaki resolutely refused to admit that the female ninja who played the snake in the comics was her daughter, because this was completely different from what he had imagined and broke all his hopes for the future. Calm down, the future may not be like in the comics, Akaban said. As for children, they must be cute and beautiful when they are born, and Anko is also very cute when she is young, but not necessarily when they grow up. Murasaki looked down from above, and his mood became more and more depressed. How can this woman not look like his daughter should look like in his mind? Besides, if his daughter appeared, why didn't he appear? Did I die in the comic? Shaking his head, he read from the plot of the Chunin exam in one breath, and he stopped for a long time until the third Hokage died in battle. After reading these pages over and over again, he continued to look back. The plot is very exciting, and occasionally made him sad, especially in the death of the third Hokage. He even felt that he was involved in it, as if he had become one of the few Anbu watching and commenting outside the barrier. Murasaki couldn't help thinking of Hidden Sand Village's Jinchuriki, that kind of terrifying Jinchuriki weapon. Although it didn't directly kill the enemy, from its power alone, it was quite terrifying already. That blow turned a mountain into a dune. That kind of powerlessness and despair is exactly the same as the picture before him, including Sasuke's mood when facing Jinchuriki in the front. He can also feel it. No matter how hard you work, you can't help some people with special powers, unless you fight with your own lives. Murasaki sighed with a heavy feeling in his heart. Until he saw Akaban appear. It's really cruel to draw yourself to death, but if you arrange it like this, aren't you afraid that Tsunade will settle accounts with you? Murasaki, you are out of date, Akaban and Tsunade. In the store, Kurama Yunlane gestured, but halfway through, he was so scared that he hurriedly stopped, and almost everyone was lying under the counter. A group of readers tilted their heads. At first, everyone wanted to make a joke, but when they saw someone coming, they didn't dare to speak. What's the bill? Tsunade walked slowly to their table and sat down next to Akaban. Oh, Murasaki, you are back, you look a lot stronger. Tilda, I will be promoted to Chunin soon. Murasaki said proudly. Tsunade raised her eyebrows, and then smiled gently and said, yes, it's a coincidence. I just came back from Sarutobi Sensei today, and it seems I also became a Chunin starting today. What? Murasaki opened his mouth wide and then wished to slap his own big mouth for being so talkative. Damn. That's a slap on my face. But thinking about it carefully, as disciples of the third Hokage, how can they be mediocre, right? No, there is still Jiraiya. He pondered for a moment, and asked cautiously, Jiraiya? How can that idiot be promoted? He should wait for the next Chunin exam. Tsunade curled her lips. There are many types of promotions for becoming a Chunin, and she, Sakumo and Murasaki are all promoted based on this. She became a Chunin after her contribution from the medical field. Sakumo became a Jonin for his contributions to the war. And Murasaki becomes Chunin for completing his secret mission with an outstanding performance. But Jiraiya didn't have any military exploits. Naturally, he could only get the approval of the Konoha Alliance Ninja Village by passing the Chunin exam to be promoted to the Chunin level. And hearing it, Murasaki breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, not all of them become Chunin. If everyone becomes Chunin, and he is still showing off everywhere, then he will really embarrass himself. I need to be low-key. Low-key tilde. It just happened that everyone is not busy, so everyone should get together tonight, and it's my treat. Tsunade received a large sum of money for the hospital work, so she is quite generous today. Akaban did not object. It is impossible for Tsunade to save money. So it's better to use it for eating than to spend it in the casino. At night, it is rare for everyone to gather together. Although Jiraiya is training in Mount Mibaku, he is still notified by the toads stationed at the Konoha Worm restaurant. Everyone heard that Murasaki came back and gathered together soon. Of course, there are some partners who are not there, such as Shinosuke and Yiwu, who have performed secret missions and are not in the village. But still, the remaining 7 still get together, which is a small classmate meeting. As for the food, it was naturally the hot pot dishes made by Akaban himself. Halfway through, Hiruzen and Danza who came to eat joined them. Although Uzumaki Maito was not there, Danza and Hiruzen did not discuss any business affairs tacitly. Everyone just ate and drank, but before leaving, Danza asked Akaban to visit him the next day. Since the relocation of Orochimaru and Tsunade laboratories, he has rarely taken the initiative to come here. The Anbu base is still the same as before. The place where it was built is always weird and dark, which made it difficult for Akaban to appreciate the place, but from the perspective of the scale, it has undergone an expansion, and there are more new masks in it. After entering, Akaban walked all the way to the office of Danza. Akaban pulled the mechanism next to the door, opened the door and walked into Danza's office. Danza is sitting over there and working. His other eyes are still blind, not much better from the past, but he seems to be able to see things with his right eye. And Akaban didn't know how he did it. Akaban was very curious. He could be sure that this was not the mind's eye of the Kagura, but another perception method with a small range. Sit down. Danza took a sip of juice and signaled him. Akaban sat down, paying attention to Danza's every move. Since the last hot pot, his teacher seems to like this drink, although he usually drinks tea, but the frequency is much less than before. He then looked at other things on the table. As always, the table is full of scrolls of information from all over the world. As the head of the dark department, his job is to screen out the information that may be useful and harmful to Konoha, and then process and investigate. It's really hard. The Hokage position and Anbu minister's position will be completely omitted in my future career. Akaban said in his heart. Murasaki mission was actually responsible for investigating the situation of Land of Earth and Land of Wind until you guessed that Hidden Sand Village might be launched against Land of Birds. During the war, I temporarily transferred Murasaki to the Land of Birds for lurking observation. After Danza said that, he took out a scroll and handed it to Akaban. A fairly advanced sealing technique was applied to this. Akaban took a look, and after hesitating for a while, he still made a hand seal and opened the scroll and read the message inside. This is just one of the reports, but the heaviest. Sand Village dispatched Shukaku and turned the stone mountain into a sand dune with one blow, without injury, shocking, and conquering the Land of Birds. He was startled for a moment, then looked up at Danza. Although Shukaku is only one tails, its strength is quite strong in tailed beast, and its character is also very irritable. Even if an average person becomes Jinchuriki, it is impossible to exert such strength. Danza was dealing with the work at hand while talking to Akaban. Bunpyuku the monk. Akaban recalled the information of one of Shukaku's Jinchurikis in his past life. He is a great monk who advocates that there is no difference between man and beast. Although his strength is weak, he has a great heart of love. This allows Shukaku to recognize with him to some extent. So the blow was definitely not the power controlled by Bunpyuku, but Shukaku did it himself. Tell me your opinion. Danza finished processing the data at hand, and then sat and looked at Akaban. Akaban thought for a while, and said, I think Jinchuriki in Hidden Sand Village has many limitations, and it is not as strong as it seems on the surface. If Land of Wind can really control Shukaku perfectly, then they will not necessarily choose the Land of Bird to conquer. After hearing this, Danza was silent for a moment, then nodded and said, I think so too, but they did show his power to demolish a mountain. And this is what I can't figure out. I noticed from the report that Murasaki mentioned that their Jinchuriki is a monk. Teacher, do you know what a monk is? Monk. Danza was really stunned for a few seconds. His mind is focused on ninja and Jinchuriki, so how can he pay attention to the problem of the monk? But this time, when Akaban mentioned it, he remembered some of the key points of analysis of the second Hokage. The monk's words are indeed different from what ordinary people think. He quickly picked up the information scroll and looked at it again. Stone Mountain. He deliberately selected the stone mountain where life is scarce. It is really a monk's style. So it is no wonder that Shukaku Jinchuriki did not really participate in the battle, and he took action on his own, reducing the casualties on Land of Birds. The real war casualties are actually caused by the fighting in Hidden Sand Village, Hidden Stone Village and Hidden Rain Village. It's really a monk's style. But Danza still felt unbelievable. Did Shukaku listen to that monk order? But how can that be? I'm afraid you have to ask your old friend about this. Akaban rubbed his temples. Smelly boy, how can you speak? Shaman. This series of actions is undoubtedly Shaman's planning, that the old guy is not dead. But since Shaman is not capable of fighting anymore from the sneak attack he receives, it means Zack will be the one to fight this war. Although Zack is strong, he is only a young man after all. He is certainly much weaker than the strong people like Onaki and Hanza. However, these two people are afraid that the third Kazekage is doing a conspiracy. They are afraid of being attacked behind their ass, so these two dare not take the shot personally. What are you thinking? Danza asked strangely. It's about why did Shaman cancel the offensive attack against the Land of River at that time? At that time, most of our Konoha manpower went to the country of Uzumaki. If the Sand Village wants to take action against the Land of River, we only have part of the reconnaissance team to fight against them, and it is impossible to send a large force into Land of Rivers. Akaban groaned for a moment and said, they have always had rather rigid thinking towards Shukaku. So this action is very strange, so I was thinking that maybe it was because they read my comics, and at the same time he was also affected by those in my comics that made them scared. It is not that he is narcissistic and shameless, but that the possibility is very high. Naruto is not banned in the country of fire. So it is easy to buy it privately. So the probability of Sand Village getting Naruto comics is also very high. Therefore, his guess is logical. Scared. Danza was stunned for a moment and did not understand Akaban's thinking logic. At that time, I remember that it didn't take long after I just finished drawing Konoha's collapse plan. Akaban repeated his speculation. Of course, Danza didn't believe it at first. How could someone like Shaman change their strategy because of the comic so stupidly? So he drove Akaban away very angrily. But after Akaban left, he thinks about it carefully. If it was him who was the Kazekage of Sand Village, and when the information they have about the enemy was blank, but such a comic said Konoha had many tricks on their sleeves, would he believe it or not? For a stable choice, he will believe it first, in case the other party really has it. That means that what Akaban said was not really impossible to happen. Haste, honestly, the teacher must be jealous of my talent. Akaban walked out of Anbu base and couldn't help but complain. But he didn't care much either, and just left the dark part early, so as not to be dragged to deal with the pile of documents on the table. Although intelligence processing can let him know a lot of gossip, such as the whole story of the War of the Land of Bud, it is absolutely difficult to know such details unless he reads all the information scrolls. But to get these things is really cumbersome. And he really needs to help. There is definitely more than one incident, as well as the Land of Whirlpools war follow-up, Hidden Mist Village, the third Hokage decisions and so on. It's all brainstorming work. Sometimes Akaban admires Danza. Why doesn't he see his hair lossing like in the manga after working overtime around the clock? Is it possible that Hashirama cells still have this effect? Akaban can't help but diverge a little when he thinks about this. As a late-stage universal artifact, Hashirama cell's ability is really worth studying in depth. However, it is impossible for the third Hokage to agree with this kind of research unless Orochimaru can come up with a detailed and reasonable plan. He returned to the comic shop, ready to participate in One Piece's comic work. Although he was being lazy updating 2 days ago, in order to avoid Kakuzu visiting him again, just asking for more updates, he will work his ass off. But right now they are renovating the warehouse next door, and staying in the comic shop will be a bit noisy, seriously affecting his performance, and making his drawing efficiency slow. So Akaban simply sat outside and drew updates on the street. He hasn't experienced this kind of feeling for a long time, but it is very good, especially since there are many customers who are holding comic books to browse while discussing the plot that made the atmosphere very comfortable. And since he was outside, it was inevitable to have various chats with them. But Akaban is happy about it since he can laze around. Of course, just looking at his posture, he is still quite serious. Speaking of which, Akaban, your updates in the past 2 days are great, and I just know that those of the Akimichi clan. Hush. Someone just wanted to say the word fatty but was covered by another person. Akaban turned around and saw a burly robust man. Is this man the patriarch of the Akimichi clan? He stood up immediately and did not continue to sit. Sir, I'm sorry. The Chunin who was just about to mention Akimichi clan stood up and bowed deeply and apologized. It doesn't matter, our Akimichi clan really has this physique. Akimichi Chaha guessed what he wanted to say behind his back, but he didn't even have the composure of Chaza in the comic. And he is really worthy of the title of clan leader. Thank you, Chaha-sama. The Chunin ninja sat down and continued to read the comic, but he didn't dare to say the words fatty in front of Chaha. Greeting Patriarch Chaha. Ha ha ha, you are a disciple of that guy Danza, just call me uncle. Chaha sat down very boldly. He obviously understood the pattern here, and he took out the money and said to a kid who was afraid to come over, please buy me some barbecue, sushi and juice. The extra is regarded as my reward for you. Yes, thank you Lord Akimichi. That child is about 10 years old and not even a ninja. For Akimichi, one of the great clan, he was in awe about their identity and afraid, but didn't expect Chiha to be so kind. After he took it, he quickly ran to the street and started looking for the food that Chiha had said. Uncle Chiha, I'm sorry, I painted your family's secret art without your consent. Akaban and Akimichi Chiha have never met before, but due to Danza's influence, it allows him to easily mix with Akimichi Chiha without any barriers, but he still has to say what he should have. Ha 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 tilde, you kid is as hypocritical as Danza. We at Akimichi clan are very straightforward and don't play that set. Akimichi Chiha frankly said. Akaban chuckled for a while and didn't feel embarrassed hearing it. After all, one side was his teacher, and the other was himself. Akimichi Chiha did not expect Akaban to just laugh it off, so he continued, our Akimichi clan's increased transformation technique is actually a chakra nature transformation. After use, it will consume a lot of chakra, but we have another kind of secret jutsu that can directly convert fat and calories into chakra, so we deliberately eat more to gain weight. So that's why. The ordinary spectators around showed expressions of Naruto. Akimichi clan's ninjas are all the same as Choji. They look fat, but they are good friends who can be trusted on the battlefield. A few ninjas who have worked with the Akimichi clan said with emotion. Ha 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 tilde. Akimichi Chiha was very happy as he listened to the compliment his clans received. Although Choji is a clansman from the comics, the ninjas praised to him were also the glory of their clan, so he feels proud. Lord Chiha, when the Akimichi clan comes to the battlefield and uses the butterfly mode, can they also become as handsome as Choji? Asked a non-ninja villager. Handsome? Ha ha ha, of course, the boys in our family are handsome, but a little plump, but the butterfly transformation is a secret technique at the bottom of the box, and it will not be used until the critical moment. Akimichi Chiha answered the question kindly without showing a hint of annoyance just because the other party is just normal people. As a result, the rest of the people became courageous. They talked and communicated with each other as comic readers, and gradually forgot the identity gap between the two sides. Akimichi Chiha continued conversing with others while reading the comics, and sometimes shares some of his insights on the plot of Naruto comics from time to time. And Akaban noticed that this man was reading from the first chapter. In other words, he keeps talking so hilariously with other people about Naruto, but he has never read Naruto at all. And why he knew Choji was probably because he learned it from his clansmen. That's what you call a true fan. He silently watched Akimichi Chiha converse with other readers while reading his own comics, and after being bored watching, Akaban then set up an easel to the side and started drawing by himself. Akimichi Chiha finished reading volume per volume fast. There are many plots that he has just read, but it does not affect him to express his unique opinions on comics. Choji temperament, can't his parents change it? Chiha leaned in and whispered. Uncle Chiha, people are slowly changing from childhood to adulthood. When you were a child, were you as brave and invincible as you are now? Akaban whispered. Ha 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 ha, you brat, you are more slippery than Danza. Chiha laughed heartily without using the hypocritical and cunning words from before. At this time, a bunch of children came back carrying large packages from outside. Akaban turned his head and glanced at it. Packed grilled meat, sushi and juice, these 7 or 8 children carry all these foods. Lord Chiha, are you going to treat everyone to eat? Kurama Yunlane was a little surprised and asked. With so many barbecues, sushi, and juices. How many people have you bought it for? The patriarch of Akimichi is too enthusiastic. Chiha, who was happily helping unload the grilled meat, sushi and juice, was taken aback after hearing these words, and then smiled and said, "Children, can you go there again? I'll give you more money." "Ha! Want to buy it?" Those children were a little skeptical about their lives. They all bought so many foods, but they still needed to buy them again. Can they finish eating it? "Ah, these should belong to me. But since I forgot to buy food for everyone, let's divide these first, and you can buy me some more," Chiha said without hesitation. "Really?" Akaban covered his face. The style of the Akimichi clan was like this. The stronger they are, the greater the appetite they have. Fortunately, their food pills and special pills business is quite good. Otherwise, I am afraid that from their breakfast alone, they can make their whole family poor. Everyone was a little shocked. This kind of appetite of the Akimichi clan that can still maintain such a figure is really a favorable physique. If it's another ninja to eat like that. I'm afraid, after 1 month later, they had to say goodbye to their ninja career. As a result, everyone can't help but admire it sincerely. Akimichi Chiha distributed the food and then began to eat and drink. He is very religious about food. He does not read comics when he eats. Instead, he asks Yunlane to wrap up all the comics and plan to go back and read them again. After that, he started conversing again with other readers and the comic shop was full of joy. After an hour passed, Chiha took the comics that were wrapped and patted Akaban on the shoulder, suggesting that he wanted to talk to him alone. Walking on the outside road, Chiha looked at the child on his side and said with emotion, "Akaban, I have heard Danza and Hiruzen talk about you many times before, but have not been able to meet you. And watching you this time, I can feel that you really understand the true meaning of food and Akimichi clan. Thank you uncle for the compliment." Akaban was ashamed. "By the way, I heard that you also master a delicious cooking method called a hot pot. Another purpose of my visit this time is to buy the secret recipe of hot pot from your hands," Akimichi Chiha said. Are you interested in the secret recipe for hot pot?" Akaban was stunned for a moment. "Yes, we are willing to accept any price," Chiha said without hesitation. "Leave aside the price. Can I ask if it's for yourself or do you plan to open a shop?" "Open a shop?" Chiha froze for a while, then his eyes lit up and said, "Yes, opening a shop is also a good idea. If you open a shop, I won't charge you any money, just give me some of the profit from the shop, and I not only know how to cook hot pot recipes, but I also master many similar delicacies." Akaban smiled. "Many delicacies?" Chiha suddenly became excited hearing another recipe and said passionately, "Akaban, you really are a person who understands food. How about you publish a comic about delicious food?" "Gourmet comics are not impossible, but I have been very busy recently and I am afraid I have no time for it. And even if they are drawn, it may take a long time to update it." When reminded by Chiha, Akaban thought of the theme of gourmet food like Toriko and Food Wars. If he draws it, it will surely become popular with how backward the food in this world is. The more Akaban thinks about it, the more he feels that he should do something about it. Even if he doesn't have time to draw it, he can still draw some piecemeal pieces and post them together like in anime. Pretty good. Is there really something like that? Then when you draw it, all the members of the Akimichi clan will definitely support you. And I will buy everyone a copy and also include the copy for the child and newborn baby. Chiha said confidently as he patted his chest. Ha 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 tilde, then I will give it a try. But it will take a lot of time since I need to collect some materials. Although Toriko is not bad, after careful consideration, Food Wars is definitely the best choice for having delicious food recipes. And also, the main character of the comics has some knife skills and cooking skills to learn. Then I look forward to your work. Akimichi Chiha's mouth is almost drooling. God knows what kind of food he is thinking, but for Akaban, seeing him like that made him involuntarily think of the scene from Food Wars. Thinking about how the clothes of the Akimichi clan burst after eating. God, spare me. Akaban shuddered all over, but he still wanted to draw it even if something like that happened. Of course. Although there are many places in the Food Wars that are not suitable for the Naruto world, but it's not the first anyway, since even in One Piece there are many strange names. So drawing it should not be too suspicious. The more Akaban thought about it, the more feasible it became. As for the length, he doesn't plan to spread too much. The plot is more inclined to the ending of the animation version. As for the follow-up, if the feedback is good, then he can draw other classic gourmet episodes. Simply put, the comic of the Food War is a test to see how the people from the ninja world respond. My clone still has to do the update, so I can only do it myself. After sending off Akimichi Chiha, Akaban then returned to the store. After painting 1 to 2 chapters of One Piece, Akaban sat down and began to meditate on the story of gourmet food. There are actually many foodies in Konoha, but the dishes here are too inferior compared to the dishes in the anime. After recalling some memories, he began to write. Because of the memory gap, there are certain differences in some details, but the paintings are roughly the same. In the style of his painting, he imitated the extremely Japanese style. Due to the not-so-complicated illustration at the start, even the lazy Akaban can draw it in just a few days. But even with these, the other 2 comics can't be stopped, and those will be completed by the clone. For 2 or 3 days, Akaban had been drawing the contents of the Food Wars. Except for eating and sleeping, he did not leave the comic shop lounge for a while. However, as the plots of the other 2 comics gradually entered the exciting part, more and more readers were sitting in front of the village and discussing it. The plot of Sajuke's defection is definitely one of the best plot clips in the early stages. Each character has its own characteristics and touches. Everyone is a living role, not a simple supporting role. Many people commented gradually. At Akaban's suggestion, Kurama Yunlane put a comment box for today's comics at the door. Everyone will leave a message on it. After a little while after the update, many people have already left their own comments. So when new guests come, they will look at the words in the comment column in novelty. Is Akaban here? Ha, this is. Sakumo noticed the comment column and glanced at it a little strangely. I'm really worried about the rescue team. I really can't understand why the Hokage-sama let 1 Chunin and 4 Genins chase down such a dangerous enemy. Don't say that, no one also would think that Sajuke would defect. Besides, Konoha has just gone through a big battle, and I'm afraid that Jonin and Chunin are probably already on missions. Genin. Apart from this group of ninjas besides Shikamaru, which of them have the destructive power of a Genin? What you said above makes sense. On the side, there are also many viewers who read the comics while reading these comments. So Sakumo also tried it. This kind of experience is very novel. Watching these stickers while reading the comics, he feels like sitting with a bunch of people and sharing the plot of the comics. However, It was a pity that Sakumo felt that there were not many comments about One Piece in the comment column. In Konoha, Naruto is the dominant comic. Sakumo, the young master, is drawing. He seems to be publishing a comic on the theme of food recently. He has been very busy. But the updates of One Piece and Naruto are all done by clones. Kurama Yunlane explained. It's as if he did the update himself before, but he himself is drawing a new comic, which I didn't expect. Then I will watch the comic here and wait a while. Sakumo looked around the store, and then picked up a few comic updates he hadn't read. He looks at One Piece first. This is always a habit. One Piece has updated 15 chapters in more than 2 days. Luffy and the others have officially entered the Grand Line and are fighting against some people from the Baroque Work Society. The Baroque Work feels like a relatively strong organization. From the bottom of his heart, Sakumo had some expectations for the sea, but it was a pity that that time he went to the country of the vortex and was busy fighting, and he didn't have time to see the scenery of the sea, let alone touring the sea. Sooner or later, I will go to the sea to have a look, and I will go to Land of Water to witness how different it is. I heard that it is a country on the sea. I wonder if there are these places in the comic on the sea. Sakumo secretly said in his heart. After a few minutes, he finished reading the update. It is worth complaining that Luffy actually fought with Zoro because of a meal. Although it seemed that Luffy just wanted to fight Zoro, he still felt sorry for Zoro. After thinking about it, Sakumo was a little unhappy, took a sticker and wrote a comment about One Piece. It's so difficult to follow Luffy. If I have a captain like this, maybe I will chop him off. After commenting on it, this should be the first comment on One Piece. This is the truth. Although Luffy is very interesting and qualified in general as a captain, the problem is that he is really frustrating in some places in normal times. As a reader, we only felt happy as we read it, but if you got yourself substituted into Zoro's place, being Zoro is too difficult. Sakumo left a comment, then sighed and thought, / it's really frustrating waiting for the update. / shaking his head, Sakumo then took the latest chapter of Naruto. The plot of Naruto is also great, which also touched and worried him, but he still looked forward to the novel and bold creation of One Piece that was completely absent in reality. At this time, Akaban opened the door of the lounge. In the past 2 or 3 days, he finally rushed out all the updated content of the Food Wars, although some of the background and place names were changed, but the core content was still the same. Ha, Sakumo, don't you need to train today? Akaban found Sakumo outside the door reading a comic, and couldn't help being stunned for a few seconds. Training? Sakumo was speechless. Could this guy completely forget that he is the training instructor of the preparation department? Forget it, because of the fact that this guy is also very busy. He sighed, on the training ground, I let Murasaki replace me for 1 day. Also, have you forgotten that the 1-month special training time is almost here? Have you finished creating the test? Test? Oh yes, look at me, I have been busy drawing these days, and I forgot about it. Akaban patted his head and handed the Food Wars draft compilation to Kurama Yunlane. Brother Yunlane, please send this for me to the factory and let them print it out. And tell Yamano-san that this comic can be distributed to all trade routes. I understand. Kurama Yunlane nodded. Afterwards, Akaban walked with Sakumo and left the comic shop. To be honest, this period of time was too easy. He almost forgot that he was still a training instructor in the preparation department. After all, from the training effect, Sakumo's training seemed to make the children more enthusiastic. During this period, everyone has been training very hard and their strength has improved a lot. Basically, all of them are qualified. Do we need to eliminate some people in the final test? The two went to a secluded path and began to talk about problems after training. No, 2 sessions adding up to 100 people is not too much. The reserve department is a ninja reserve, not really directly on the battlefield, so these ninjas don't need to be eliminated. Akaban said his thoughts. However, it is not advisable to pass them directly, we still have to make them feel the crisis, so I plan to do this. He told Sakumo the plan he had previously thought of. After hearing this, Sakumo nodded his head in approval. The illusion test at the beginning, and also ends with the illusion test. Finally, adding an only 3 chances of failure condition to encourage students to continue to keep it up. He pondered for a moment and then said, the village may need to replenish manpower during this period, so some excellent ninjas will be selected to form a 4-man team. How should we select? What are you talking about? Akaban was startled slightly. What are you doing these 2 to 3 days? Sakumo was a little speechless, but remembering how he keeps drawing these days, he didn't ask anymore. No wonder the 3rd Hokage went to him directly yesterday instead of Akaban. And knowing this guy, they simply didn't bother to look for him. Akaban smiled awkwardly and said, how many people are needed in the village? At least 5 groups are required, so about 15 people are needed. As Sakumo said, he took out a booklet from his arms. Akaban took a look at it. It was a comic with a rough style, but it was already quite good for beginners. The painting described the Uzumaki War situation from the perspective of the Sakumo team. He closed his eyes after a few glances. I will sort it out and come back to make a set of plot lines, and use this set of questions in the test. Also, asked the instructors to give the students some knowledge and skills on the battlefield to avoid being eliminated. Okay. Sakumo responded naturally and then turned around to go to the preparation department. But when he turned around, he suddenly reacted he was only helping. So when did he become Akaban's subordinate? I want to study and design the illusion from the information you give me, please understand. Akaban said while pointing to the comic book that Sakumo gave him. Cut tilde. Sakumo twitched his lips with disdain on his face. He is busy with training every day, he has to help train the genins after his training, and at the same time, he has to draw comics about the Uzumaki War. Did he complain when he was so busy every day? Damn. You are just lazy. Don't be like that, otherwise I can't update the One Piece since I plan to create an illusion test with all my strength, and then let the clone take charge of the preparation department. Akaban said helplessly. You. Sakumo is angry. This is a threat, an obvious threat. In the next second, he made a hand seal, then instantaneously increased his speed, and with a blink of an eye, disappeared before Akaban's eyes. Akaban blew his whistle, feeling a little sympathy for Murasaki in his heart. He just came back from outside the village and didn't have time to get promoted himself yet, but found out that all his friends had almost reached his level. But after a few days of rest, after finishing the promotion of Chunin, Sakumo pulled him over to take the position of being a training instructor. Fortunately, he was busy for a few days. As long as these days of training, these specially trained ninjas have been relatively finalized in some aspects, and as long as they continue to train and teach in this situation, they can accept tasks that are not too difficult. If there is a Jonin in the team, the tasks below B level should not be difficult for them. However, the preparation department is not only the ordinary ninja department but also the illusion class, Taijutsu class and the newly added medical class. The ninjas of these three special classes must be specially arranged. Think of it this way, I also have to compile a textbook for the illusion class. Sigh. So busy. Cough. Cough. What did you say? Akaban has released a comic about food. Hiruzen was still smoking, but when he heard this report from his subordinates, he almost choked on the smoke. Yes, Hokage-sama, the notice has been posted. It is said that the convoy has arrived outside the village, but the most serious thing is that all the people of the Akimichi clan gathered outside the comic shop, and the whole street was blocked, and the convoy could not get in at all. The Anbu ninja was worried and asked, should we come forward to maintain order? Gourmet Comics. That kid has come up with some new things. So I'm afraid it won't be very effective in maintaining order. I'll check it out myself. Hiruzen sighed with a headache. The Akimichi clan has a gentle temperament and strong strength. They are first-class helpers on the battlefield, but when it comes to food, they will immediately be insatiable. I should go myself. Besides, he is also quite curious about the comics about food. Hiruzen arrived at the entrance of the village and saw that Yamano Izumi's caravan was surrounded by workers and couldn't get in. On the other hand, the big guys of the Akimichi clan lined up all the way from the entrance of the village to the comic shop. The people at the front wait quietly in line, while the ones at the back eat and drink like snacks, grilled meat, sushi, or drinks. From a distance, it is definitely terrifying scenery. Chaha, what are your people doing? Give the way out and don't block the door. Hiruzen is slightly annoyed. Hiruzen, I'm afraid we can't do that. The point is that there are only 100 books today, and it's so slow to wait 3 days for new products. I'll tell you later, I'm almost there. Akimichi Chaha said while taking a step forward. Hiruzen blue veins on his foreheads were thumping furiously and asked. Can't you let your tribesmen go to a place and wait while you buy enough comics for them in one go? No, the comics are so exciting. Everyone wants to buy them on their own. So they can only choose to line up. And this is also fair to everyone. Chaha said, taking another step forward. Although they only read a few pages of the trailer, they can imagine how wonderful the comics are. This is a gourmet comic that cannot be missed. Hiruzen took a deep breath and looked back. Indeed. Apart from the clansmen of the Akimichi clan, there are actually many other ninjas and ordinary people who are also lining up, but they are crowded among the fat bodies of the Akimichi clan, which is really inconspicuous. More than that, there is also a toad bigger than the person in front of Chaha. It's really unfair to let the Akimichi clan buy all the comics when there are so many of them who want to buy them. What a chaotic group of readers. Hiruzen sighed with a headache. Egg fried rice, it looks really delicious. This person named Sama must be a master chef, otherwise how could he invent such delicious food? And also this tofu. I really want to try it. The toad in front who bought the comics, and walking in a weird posture while reading the comics, from time to time he made triumphant and amazed sounds, which made everyone glared at him. This guy definitely did it on purpose. Damn fellow, don't be a spoiler, or I will beat you if you make this strange sound again. Akimichi Chaha said as he glared at the toad. The line the toad said was enough to make him hold his breath in anger, but in the end, thinking of the egg fried rice, Mapo tofu. I wanted to see it. What, do you want to fight? The toad who wore a short sword on his waist, said with a provocative look. Damn toad, I will beat you to death. Chihaya let out a roar, and then his body swelled, and he was instantly much larger than the toad, almost catching up with the super-large toads on Mount Mibaku. The queuing behind quickly fled to avoid being affected. But after getting bigger, neither side attacked. Gamabunta was too shocked, a little frightened. It didn't expect this ninja, who looked a little fat and clumsy, to become so huge in an instant. Not only his size but his momentum and chakra became very violent. Scary. Chihaya, do you want to ruin Konoha's gate? Hiruzen scolded. Chihaya used the increased transformation technique, and his body was as big as the Konoha gate, and he could remove the gate directly with a slight movement. But this is Konoha's iconic building, how can he let them fight? When the guys from the Akimichi clan talk about food, their personalities will change, and the toad is also messing up. Can't you buy a comic and leave quietly? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but glare at the toad again. Gamabunta, Fukasaku Sage asked you to come out, but I told you not to cause trouble. Jiraiya also heard the movement and hurried over from a distance. He was still wearing a bath towel. Obviously, it is unnecessary to say what he was doing just now. Seeing this, he hurriedly bowed and apologized. Sorry Sarutobi-sensei and uncle. Che-tilde. Gamabunta grunted and let go of the short sword and walked into the village silently. Jiraiya, you take care of him. Hiruzen sighed helplessly. Although they are the creatures of Mount Myobaku, after they open a store here in Konoha, every day there will be different toads staying in the village, although they changed every day, but the toads of the previous few days were very gentle and did not cause trouble at all. Not like this one. This. I can only say I do my best. Jiraiya also has a guilty conscience. He has become a lot stronger, but Gamabunta has also become stronger as his chakra accumulates. Besides, with Gamabunta's character, how can he manage it? Seeing Gamabunta leaving, Akimichi Chihaya became smaller, and he regained his gentleness and said, ha ha ha, I'm sorry, I got so big accidentally, but the gate is fine. How dare you say it? Hiruzen sighed tiredly, and then couldn't help but feel annoyed. When such a serious thing happened, Akaban hadn't even appeared yet, so he must have been hiding at home again. He was not angry, and spit out a puff of smoke, planning to visit the Kurama clan and grab the pig from his bed. As he was about to implement it, Akaban flew all the way from behind. Seeing the third Hokage, his face changed. He immediately adjusted his breathing and forced sweat, making himself look very tired. Smelly brat, why are you here just now? Hiruzen roared after noticing him. Akaban lowered his head, then rushed to the side of the Hiruzen and said with a smile, I finished the illusion plan for the special training last night, so I slept late. HMPH, you have to deal with your own troubles. After Hiruzen finished speaking, he turned and left, but there were still a lot of things on his side. Besides, he couldn't buy comics here, so it didn't make much sense to read them. The chaotic scene, the guards working hard to maintain order, and the village of Konoha, where traffic jams caused chaos. Damn! The hot pot got passed to me. Akaban felt heavy on his back seeing how chaotic the scene was. Akaban, you finally woke up. Yamano Izumi rushed over and asked in a low voice, the ninja from the Akimichi clan are too enthusiastic. When they know that the comics are going to be updated, they all stay at the door. As a result, I see, everyone should have come to buy the Food Wars. How many copies do you have? 78 volumes. Yamano Izumi answered quickly because he was anxious to sell. He remembered every time he sold a copy. Akaban turned his head and looked at the long line behind and shouted, "There are 78 comics books remaining. Except for the first 78, I will number the others in order. So if the new comics arrive in 3 days, they will be delivered to you in order after you write your name, so please don't be crowded." Sequential numbering. This is a good way. Akimichi Chiha happened to get his own copy, then turned his head and glanced at the line, and said, "People of the Akimichi clan, use the shadow clone to help count and complete the sequence number as soon as possible." Yes. With a reasonable method, the order numbers were soon sent to Akaban. Akaban handed these slip numbers to Izumi Yamano and said, "Yamano-san, if it is convenient, please post these slips on the outer packaging of the comic book after you have printed it, and I will ask someone to pick it up." "Yes, I understand." Yamano Izumi's eyes brightened. This is a good method. Not only do they need to send them out, but they can also send things home directly, saving everyone from the time to fetch them. What a convenient way. Well, please leave, don't block the road and affect the traffic. Akaban used chakra to amplify his voice. Before long, the people on the street gradually dispersed. This situation was beyond his expectation. Originally, he thought that even if the new comics came out, they would be at most similar to One Piece and Naruto. If people came one after another one day, there was no need for on-site supervision. However, who would have thought that a mere gourmet comic would be so popular? It is estimated to be related to the Akimichi clan. Seeing a bunch of people from the Akimichi clan queuing up, everyone swarmed and followed. It seems the psychology of the crowd is applicable everywhere. Akaban can finally breathe a sigh of relief after handling the queued events. He was about to go back, but one of the guards came across the line and got close to him. A member of Uchiha. Although he was also wearing the standard clothing of the new guard, Uchiha's logo was still exposed on the corners of his clothes. "My lord, the Patriarch invites you to come and discuss some things." Patriarch Yuan. "Okay, lead the way." Akaban thought for a while, followed in this person's footsteps, and went to Uchiha Yuan location. Looking for him at this time, it is definitely not about food, it should be another matter to discuss and inquire. He followed this Uchiha guard to the training base. Walking to the training base, Akaban saw Uchiha Yuan standing on the edge of the widened artificial lake. "Akaban-kun, I'm sorry to invite you here suddenly." Uchiha Yuan looked a little haggard and seemed to worry about something. Akaban was a little puzzled. What else keeps Uchiha Yuan unable to sleep now? Is it related to him? He fell into deep thought, and a few seconds later a word flashed in his mind: Orochimaru's living corpse reincarnation. Yesterday's plot really reveals the secrets of Orochimaru's reincarnation jutsu. Transferring the soul directly, occupying the opponent's body. It seems because of this. Uchiha Yuan walked a few steps, sighed with depression, and then asked in a low voice, "Akaban, is there really such a ninjutsu in this world as the living corpse reincarnation?" "The soul realm is a realm that we haven't researched yet. To be honest, I don't know. Reincarnation is just a virtual technique I made," Akaban said. But obviously, this answer cannot convince Uchiha Yuan. He thinks a lot. First of all, he was unable to determine whether the impure world reincarnation really exists. After all, in the comics, Orochimaru shamelessly took it as his own. So Uchiha Yuan did not know that this technique was actually invented by the second Hokage. If impure world reincarnation is ascertained, then living corpse reincarnation is not impossible. Uchiha Yuan is very weary. After Uchiha joined Konoha, he was a little overwhelmed. He felt that after so many negative effects, no one would hit Uchiha's idea again. Some time ago, he even hoped that Akaban painted a little worse, to stimulate his people's awakening and growth. But he didn't expect it to be this extreme. Not only do people want to take their eyes, but they also want their bodies. If one of Uchiha's only heirs had an accident and had their bodies occupied by someone, nothing would be more miserable than this. P.S. He is talking about how Orochimaru wants to take over Sasuke in the comics. He was silent for a long time, and then he sighed and said, I heard that the dead demon-consuming seal is real. There is a technique in the world that summons the god of death at the cost of the soul. Perhaps there is really a way to escape the eyes of the god of death. Then should I remove that part in the comic? Akaban was a little confused about Uchiha Yuan's thoughts. If he wants him to remove that part, why didn't he tell him about it yesterday, so as not to be dilly-dallying until today when he found out that he was presiding over the queue at the entrance of the village and called him over? I'm not afraid of the thief stealing, I'm afraid that the thief is thinking about it. So what's the use of hiding these? The main thing is to be strong and develop the technique to crack that kind of forbidden ninjutsu. Uchiha Yuan shook his head. His idea is actually very clear, but for some reason, he doesn't know how to say it. Akaban is a wise man, he didn't turn his head at first, and he understood what he said. As everyone knows, Orochimaru is the best at ninjutsu in the whole village. In terms of research, perhaps the third Hokage, who is a ninja court academician, is slightly inferior. If they want someone to develop a cracking method, the best choice is naturally Orochimaru. However, in the comics, it is Orochimaru who developed the said forbidden jutsu. But if they do that, isn't it asking the thief how to do thievery? Psychological problems, this is very difficult. Akaban didn't know how to answer for a while. After all, Orochimaru was really interested in Sharingan, and if Uchiha Yuan delivered it to his door, it might be a bad idea. But to talk about the way to crack living corpse reincarnation. In the comic, Sasuke was used as a reincarnation container 3 years later, but with the power of Sharingan and curse seals, he seemed to have successfully negated Orochimaru jutsu as it was not successful. But if they used Sasuke as an example, it wouldn't do them any good. Because he is the carrier of Indra Chakra's reincarnation, which must have an impact on all aspects, otherwise the three Tomo will not be able to negate the living corpse reincarnation ninjutsu, which Orochimaru has studied hard. Akaban thought for a while, and could only say, if you really want to fight against the soul plundering the body, you have to start from many aspects. Either strengthen the strength of the soul or develop a way to mark this body and put your mark on this body. What? Uchiha Yuan looked at Akaban in surprise. He can understand the former. Strengthening the soul power can naturally fight against soul plunder jutsu, but obviously, this method is ineffective for children. No matter how strong the soul of a child is, can they still wrestle with an adult? Unless the adult's soul is already broken. However, this method of imprinting others with oneself may help the young clansman to tide over the crisis. He thought about it carefully, and after a minute or two, he understood Akaban's meaning. You mean, the conditions for this kind of soul-plundering ninjutsu must be very harsh. There are a series of prepositions. As long as we disrupt one of the links, it will be more difficult for the other side to plunder. Yes. It's just a pure guess, but what you said is also what I was thinking. Akaban nodded. These are his personal conjectures and have not been confirmed in the comics. The reason why he said it was a pure guess is to prevent Uchiha Yuan from throwing the pot on him in the future if it didn't work. Uchiha Yuan was lost in thought. To compare the body to a house, living corpse reincarnation jutsu is the thief picking the lock in, driving away from the weak child and taking the house as his own. And marking one's own imprint is equivalent to adding a layer anti-theft door. In a way, it is useful. Uchiha Yuan also knows very well that it is only to a certain extent, but at any rate, it is a way. Compared to his own unrealistic ideas such as awakening Mangekyo, Akaban's proposal is obviously more appropriate. He took a deep breath, bowed deeply and said, "Thank you, Akaban-kun. It's okay, it's the mess I leave anyway." Akaban shook his head. Living corpse reincarnation, this technique seems to have only been studied by Orochimaru in the comics. He is not clear about its principle, but from the exchange level, this is a very high and forbidden jutsu since it takes 5 full thousand points. Because it involves the realm of the soul, this is a very mysterious level that few people can master. Akaban is very curious about this technique, but he doesn't know when he can use it, so he has no interest in redeeming it. The same goes for curse seals. The curse imprint is a degraded version of Sage Mode, which is also not what Akaban is pursuing. He now has Mangekyo Sharingan, Flying Thunder God Jutsu, etc., and his strength is enough to cope with most battles. These miscellaneous abilities can be temporarily ignored, and his priority right now is redeeming attributes. During this time, he accumulated more than 7,000 points, enough for him to exchange more than 30 attributes. Anyway, thank you Akaban-kun. If you need help, please feel free to mention it to us, or Uchiha Yuan has a goal to work hard. Although they are not good at research, it is absolutely impossible for an outsider to study such a technique related to the fate of their family. No, I just had an idea. Akaban shook his head slightly. He knew in his heart that Uchiha Yuan's change of direction was a gesture of favor, and it might even imply an alliance, but he couldn't agree. The guard leader is Uchiha Yuan, and the deputy captain is Akaban's father. This is a kind of balance. If the Kurama clan gets too close to Uchiha, the village will not be at ease. In the end, the power of the Uchiha and Kurama clan will be weakened, or another family that can fight against it will appear. No matter which one, Akaban wants to see it. Of course. Although verbal favors are not needed, Uchiha Yuan will not be so stupid as to forget this favor. So it will be a great use for him in a crucial moment. Then I will leave first. There are still a lot of things in the comic shop, how can I chat here? Akaban had a terrible headache. He just carried the pot that disturbed the public order. He didn't know how the third Hokage would fix him. Tilda so uncomfortable. At this moment, he wanted to pick up a cigarette to relieve his melancholy. Back at the comic shop, Akaban saw a bunch of people sitting outside the shop. Most of the people who read the comics were the big guys of the Akimichi clan. This group of people was almost imageless. The table was full of food, and their mouths were also stuffed with food. What a magical tofu! Oh Tilda, the dragon dumplings look so delicious. Glistening dishes are good dishes. What do I eat? These junk foods are not delicious at all. A bunch of foodies wailed in pain, screaming and stuffing a large amount of food into their mouths. Their stomachs were almost bottomless, and they didn't seem to be full. Akaban wiped his cold sweat, feeling that all of Konoha's catering industry should pay him dividends, and it is estimated that today's income alone can top their usual monthly turnover. Boy, your comic is really good. Just seeing the picture made me hungry. Are the dishes authentic? Can you make them? Akimichi Chiha said excitedly. Uncle Chiha, I don't have time to cook now, I have to go to the third Hokage Summer to deal with the matter just now. Akaban said helplessly. Hiruzen. Hey, it's okay, I'll go with you. We, the Akimichi clan, will stand behind you in this matter. Akimichi Chiha took his food and said loyally, if you feel that I am not enough, I will talk to my old friends and let them all support me. No, don't mess with me. Akaban quickly refused. This can be big or small, and he will apologize when he comes to the door. But if he really has a group of people to intercede, that's another matter. Besides, he was really not being lazy last night, saying that he stayed up late and went to bed too late was the truth. Okay, but your comic is really good, but it's a pity that there is only one volume and I already read it all. Chiha sighed. He told Kurama Yun laying a few words, let him take care of this side, and then went to the Hokage building. Hiruzen sat in his chair and looked quite distressed. You kid, always make trouble for me. How can you say that? Didn't I help? Akaban sat down dissatisfied. What's more, today's affairs do not have much to do with him. It is normal to make an emotional disturbance. Ah, look at this. Hiruzen threw a scroll of information. From the mark, it seems to come from Land of Water, and it is quite an official, a kind of communication. Akaban took it strangely. Land of Water. He opened it and took a look, it said. Kurama Akaban slandered my village in his comic, insinuating our village's blood mist method and squeezing out Keki Genkai. I hope you will ban the comic that slanders our village as soon as possible, and give us Hidden Mist Village a fair judgment. In addition, due to the release of One Piece comics, there are more and more chaotic elements in the water country, which has a great impact on our country's public security and reputation. I hope that your country can control the content of the above comics, otherwise, our village will not rule out the use of violence. Akaban didn't read any further. This letter seems to be formal and reasonable, but it is full of the word finding fault in every way. It is estimated to be related to the failure of the Land of Uzumaki War. Hiruzen sighed and said, the Mist Village lost a lot in the war in the Land of Uzumaki, but they have no obvious evidence that Konoha made the move. They can only use this method to find a fault. But the successive battles in the village are already very weak and need to be recuperated. It's okay. Let them come if they want to come. There is no need to fear them. You kid. Hiruzen rubbed his eyebrows. Although Mist Village is indeed impossible to resort to large-scale warfare, assassination is inevitable. Akaban threw the information scroll back on the table. Relying on Mist Village's ability, at best, it was an assassination. But it's only if he leaves the village. If he does not leave the village, the Mist Village wouldn't dare to send assassins in the Konoha even if they are given 10 courage. As for the person who will do the assassination, it will be likely the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist. He, Hiruzen, as I expected, that kid won't care about this little threat. He has an extraordinary obsession with comics. Danza said as he sat across from the third Hokage. What drives a person who is too lazy to point fingers to keep updated every day? Passionate and persistent. How could such a person give up his comics and abandon his career because of threats from foreign countries? Hiruzen was helpless. Although he wanted to refute, he had to admit that Danza's guess was correct. When Akaban left, he didn't seem to be a little worried. He believes that he is better than Danza in many aspects, but his understanding of Akaban and Orochimaru is not as deep as Danza. After pondering for a while, Hiruzen was still not at ease. What do you think of the Mist Village? Akaban is not afraid of them himself, so what are we worried about? That kid is most afraid of death, so that means he has many ways to save his life. If he didn't beat Sakumo last time, I won't know how powerful he became. Danza snorted coldly, not worrying about Akaban's safety at all. He knows his disciples too well. If the kid feels that there is a big risk, he will definitely come up with a series of life-saving methods. So him being unperturbed, means that he has absolute confidence. That makes sense. Hiruzen nodded as he lit his pipes. Sakumo definitely has the strength of an ordinary Jonin. Although Akaban used his scheming and intelligence in the battle with him, his strength is absolutely comparable to the elite Jonin. But Mist Village should not know this information. Instead of worrying about Akaban's safety, it is better to worry about the people in Mist Village being killed and whether the other party will become angry. Coming out of the Hokage building, Akaban couldn't help feeling a little bit emotional. The land of water is an island country, and the flow of news is not convenient. He had previously considered how to transfer the comic to the land of water, but he did not expect that the popularity of One Piece would allow a large number of ninjas and samurai to explore the sea by boat, and by the way, bring the comics with them. This can be regarded as a blessing in disguise. Although it also caused troubles on the land of water, Akaban didn't think the problem was serious. Hidden Mist Village and Konoha lack the experience of direct warfare. Even in this Uzumaki war, Konoha only dispatched the Anbu, and many methods were not used. Secondly, although the second Mitsukage is dead, the third Mitsukage strategy basically follows the second Mitsukage and implements the closed governance of the conservative Hidden Mist Village to isolate Hidden Mist Village from the outside world. Their understanding of Konoha is far less thorough than Hidden Sand Village. Sand Village knew very well that Konoha was indeed very good in some aspects, and partly understood each other's methods. It was clear that the techniques in the comics were not only fantasy. But from the perspective of the Mist Village, Konoha's comic is probably Akaban braggadocio. That's why it is not advisable to close the country. Akaban sighed with emotion, and then stepped to the preparation department just now in the Hokage building. He not only talked about the strong condemnation of Mist Village but also the special training completion test of the preparation department. Last night, he compiled the situation of the land of Uzumaki into a copy of the illusion, and passed the third Hokage approval, and also obtained the authorization for the completion test. This trip to the preparation department is to send this permission and announce the news of the upcoming test. But not long after leaving the village, Akaban felt something was wrong. Someone is following him. If it hadn't been for his strong mental power and exchange perception ability, he might not have noticed it at all, but after discovering the one who stalked him and expanding his perception ability, he immediately found the way to track people. The unfamiliar breath is definitely not from Konoha. Akaban remembered the message from the Mist Village in his mind and took a deep breath. It seems the Mist Village is quite impatient. It seems that when they send the warning message, it makes people subconsciously think that they would send an assassination unit later, but in fact, the assassination unit had already set off before the message arrived. Their goal has always been to assassinate Kurama Akaban. Konoha's talented new star is worth that price. It's not that easy to kill me, Akaban thought. Then he continued walking to the preparation department, but he kept his perception and observed the opponent's position. He doesn't know who the opponent is or what ability he has. After walking far enough away from the village, there was no patrol team around at this time. So Akaban activated his Sharingan as his eyes appeared scarlet, and the three-shaped Tomo appeared, and then the pattern gradually changed and rotated, like a rotating vortex. Ha! The assassin felt something was wrong and stopped immediately. However, before he knew it, a technique formula suddenly appeared on him. Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Then Akaban smashed after he appeared on top of the assassin. Pop! Che! The hydrification technique, from Zuki clan Ha. Akaban's Sharingan has been deactivated after using Flying Thunder God Jutsu, so the other side not at all sees it, but the opponent using the hydrification technique in advance, which was unexpected. After all, he never thought that the assassin turned out to be from the Zuki clan. After using hydrification, Zuki Gozu quickly replaced his position with the hydrification body and the substitution jutsu. Is this the Flying Thunder God Jutsu in the comic? Konoha actually has this kind of ninjutsu. Too terrifying, Konoha is too terrifying. Damn, I have to give up the mission and I must go back to the village and report this to the village. Zuki Gozu thought as he was really terrified. They thought that the things in the comics were fake, but because he didn't feel right just now, he used the technique of hydrification in advance to be on the safe side. That's why he was safe, or else he would die from that punch alone. If it's another ninja, they may really run away if they meet this guy. After all, the effect of the hydrification technique is too strong and can be immune to most attacks, but knowing that the opponent is from the Kusuki clan, and knowing that he has that kind of jutsu, Akaban is too lazy to use other techniques. Genjutsu times 5 senses control. With the stroke of the chakra pen, his chakra and perception were locked on his opponent, and Zuki Gozu was instantly drawn into the illusion. In the illusion, the sky, thunder, earth and fire greeted him at the same time, without a drop of water. And Zuki Gozu really knew that he had fallen into an illusion seeing this scene, but the problem was that he couldn't escape from the illusion even if he knew that it was an illusion. Although they are immune to physical attacks, Genjutsu directly attacks their spiritual plane, and regardless of whether he can use hydrification, he should first worry about Genjutsu if the Kurama clan. If it weren't for catching him alive, Akaban could completely evaporate this assassin within a few seconds. It's because their mental power gap is too big. After dispelling the illusion, Zuki Gozu has become a jelly-like sculpture, and his spirit has been severely damaged by the illusion, and it is impossible for him to wake up for a while. I'd better send this guy to the teacher first, lest this guy wakes up and has to knock him out again. Akaban was not afraid of the opponent's backlash, but having this assassin injured like this after receiving his genjutsu attack for the first time, he may die directly if he attacks him again. His purpose is to capture him alive, not to kill. So he plans to send this guy to the Anbu. But his life may be worse than Zuki Sujitsu in the comics, but this is not Akaban's problem. He has never been too kind to the enemy, especially when the other party still wants his life. Danza had just come out of the Hokage building after his chat with Hiruzen and was about to go back to the Anbu, but halfway through, he saw Akaban holding a jelly-like statue in his hand, and he was really stunned for several seconds. "Teacher, I didn't expect to meet you at the door. This guy seems to belong to the Zuki clan of Mist Village. He just crouched outside the village to kill me, but was subdued." Akaban then explained what happened, without mentioning his secret. You are very efficient. I just talked about you to Hiruzen, but you already got it done. Danza touched his chin, then squinted at Jelly. Everyone in the ninja world knew the weakness of the Zuki clan. But Akaban didn't master Thunder Jutsu, so it could only be an illusion for him. With such a level of illusion, this kid is already much stronger than him. In addition, he didn't expect that Mist Village had sent out the assassination ninja decisively from the beginning. If this assassin's real goal was changed to someone else, he might really succeed. Thinking of this, Danza couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Akaban is strong enough. Teacher, I will leave this guy to Anbu for disposal to see if they can dig out some information, or maybe can study the mystery of the hydrification technique. Akaban raised the jelly sculpture a bit and motioned to Danza to take it. But how could Danza do such a rough job? A figure ran out of the door of Anbu within a few seconds and took it from Akaban. Shut him in a pitcher, and pay attention to sealing the pitcher with seals so that he may not escape. Danza said lightly. Yes. The Anbu ninja was a little surprised. Azuki ninja. As long as they have water, they can use water to escape. At the same time, the water will repair their injuries. But that's the reason why very few ninjas from the Zuki clan are captured alive. By the way, it's best to search for scrolls, weapons, etc. on his body. Akaban was thinking about the treasure of the Zuki clan. Even though this guy is so weak, what if there is some treasure on this guy's body? Don't dream, this guy is just an ordinary Chunin of the Zuki clan, he doesn't even have a ninja sword. How could he come into contact with that kind of thing, and there may be attacks next. So if you are afraid, don't go out in the village. Danza said lightly, and then said, on the side of the preparation department, I will send the Anbu to increase the protection manpower to prevent the Mist Ninja from discovering it and endanger Konoha's next generation. Akaban's eyes lit up hearing it. Danza glanced at him, and after a moment of speechlessness, he said, No. You should go out. With your current strength, unless the other party dispatches elites Chunin, otherwise I can't help you. The Zuki ninja are not a cabbage that can be seen everywhere, and they run all over the world. In fact, in the first battle of Ninja World, because the second Mitsukage was born in the Zuki clan, the Zuki clan contributed a lot in that battle. That's why their clan casualties are also the largest in Hidden Mist Village in every clan. So it's impossible for the Mist Village to send assassins from the Zuki clan again. Akaban had no choice but to continue the work he had just done. On the way, he had been using his perception ability, because according to his judgment, Zuki Gozu really must have an accomplice, and was probably exploring and scouting. However, it was a pity that no strangeness was found along the way, and there was no sign of the enemy until the preparation department. Akaban discussed the test plan for the completion of the special training, and at the same time gathering all the instructors and temporary instructors to talk about his encounter with the Mist assassination. Everyone was shocked and worried at the same time, but after hearing that Danza had learned about it and sent more Anbu to the reserve department to take charge of the protection work, they all felt relieved. Otherwise, for everyone's safety, they must return to Konoha and wait for the limelight to pass before arranging the training. Assassin from Zuki clan. On hearing the news, Orochimaru couldn't wait to run to the Anbu immediately. However, he knew that the other party had just been arrested, and Anbu must have used various secret techniques to interrogate the secrets in the assassin's mind. Even if he ran to Anbu, he had no chance to study the physique of the Zuki clan. Don't get excited, I come to you to ask if you can summon more summoned snakes during this time to help check the surrounding movement. Ikeban said. Of course I can. Orochimaru didn't say anything, and directly used a hand seal with both hands and summoned many small snakes, and then let them run to the training ground to inspect. After the incident, he wanted to continue his research, but when he learned about the assassination, his train of thought couldn't help but think of it. The technique of hydrification is one of the strongest secret jutsu of the Hidden Mist. After explaining some things, Ikeban left the preparation department with confidence. He did not go back immediately but circled the preparation department first. About half an hour, the fish did not take the bait. After turning around in vain, he felt that the fish was probably scared away, and it was temporarily impossible to fish out something in the water. Forget it, it's better to sleep after going back. It is really unrealistic if he wants to catch someone that is hiding. The assassination team of Hidden Mist is not a stupid pig. Even Hozuki Gozu could escape safely if he confronted someone else, but unfortunately, he didn't know the specific strength of Ikeban, and he had no resistance against his genjutsu at all. However, the appearance of the Hidden Mist assassination team made Ikeban have to be more vigilant. Living in Ninja World, even just walking in Konoha will be quite dangerous. With the use of Flying Thunder God Jutsu, Ikeban appeared in his room. After thinking about it, he exchanged his remaining points for physique attributes that totaled 32 in Go. With 32 points of physique, Ikeban could feel that his body was greatly increased, his body was a little itchy and crisp, and his body's muscles became stronger at a speed visible to the naked eye. After a few seconds, Ikeban felt his body's transformations stop. I feel a lot stronger, and my strength is a bit unsuitable. Ikeban mumbled as he made a fist. Although it is not to the point of destroying a house with a stomp or smashing the house, he feels that even without force, he can crush a cup, which will take a while for him to get used to. Then he took a bath and then directly slept. Every time he exchanged physical attributes, a lot of dirt would appear on his body, which is why he did not exchange attributes during the day. Waking up the next day, Ikeban rarely goes out to exercise, but today is different. 32 points of physique still had a great impact on his body. So he spent a lot of time adapting to his current physical attributes. His speed and strength are much greater. But the most important thing is his physical strength and endurance that also increased. A total of 140 points of physique, even without the speed and strength expertise, it can still surpass most ordinary Jonin. It is worth mentioning that during this time, his mental power rose slightly by 2 points. Automatic growth of attributes. It seems that Ido stole my mental power before. Even though he calculated it carefully, Ido is the half-master of the body, and he is an outsider, but it does not prevent Ikeban from condemning the thief. Speaking of which, the comics should have been updated this morning. This period of chasing with the ninja squad also has its own means. They used various methods to show their greatest strength, which can be regarded as the climax of the early stage. Thanks to this, the readers who follow it are quite diligent. And after only a day, he has gained more than 1,000 points the moment he got up in the morning. But when he walked to the comic shop, Ikeban saw many people sitting in front of the comic shop with a nin dog. They looked like people from the Inuzuka clan, but this posture. Are they looking for a fight? Kurama Yunlane was very anxious, and when he saw Ikeban come over, he hurried over and said, "Master, the major event is not good." "What's the situation?" Ikeban asked in a low voice. It seems to be related to comics, saying you, well, what they mean is that you look down on the secret ninjutsu of the Inuzuka clan. Kurama Yunlane whispered. What? Akaban was stunned. His face is not quite good since it's about his comics, and after taking a deep breath to adjust his emotions, he walked to the Inuzuka family members and said, everyone, I heard that you have some opinions on my comics. HMMP, that's right, in your comic, there are 5 ninjas in the pursuing team and everyone else has won the battle using their trump card secret jutsu. But why is the secret technique of the Inuzuka clan, when used, completely blocked by the enemy? A ninja of the Inuzuka clan furiously said. Akaban wondered, it seems that because of this, all of them were sitting here just like gangsters. But shouldn't you know what kind of strength? Then what kind of strength does your secret jutsu have in your mind? Akaban thought. But asking it like that is quite rude. Although you are a special jonin, you haven't seen a real tail-chasing fang rotating fang, right? The last time you even made a plot with a fart alone can defeat our people. Are you targeting us, the Inuzuka? Another Inuzuka tribe said in a bad tone. With Inuzuka Kiba's prolonged defeat in the comic, especially on the battlefield where he almost died, made them feel that Akaban didn't understand them, that's why their attitude was a bit bad. Akaban sighed and said, no matter how strong ninjutsu itself is, its power depends on the user. Inuzuka Kiba is just a genin ninja. I think it's normal to only exert such power. If you really don't understand that. If it doesn't make sense, he can only rely on military force. Anyway, he is in charge, and his status is higher than that of the other party, so there will be no problem even if he takes action. But when he was about to shoot, Akaban sensed the arrival of another person in Inuzuka Taka, the patriarch of the Inuzuka clan. You guys! How dare you come out and mess around? Go back to the clan and you will do all the chores today, otherwise, the family law will take care of you. Inuzuka Taka scolded angrily. Ah, patriarch! This is... Several troubled Inuzuka tribesmen bowed their heads, facing the command of the patriarch, they could only choose to obey. Akaban withdrew the gathered chakra. If Inuzuka Taka didn't appear, he would definitely have to take action to beat up these troublemakers, but now that the patriarch is here, doing the troublesome things is not his style. Sorry, it is my lack of discipline. Inuzuka Taka bowed and apologized. As the patriarch of the family who is more supportive of Anbu, Inuzuka Taka participated in the trial of the assassin yesterday, so he knows the terrible strength of Akaban. Although those guys are maybe a few years older than Akaban, they might be beaten and taken to the hospital after a few punches. It's nothing, it's indeed true that I lack consideration for the plot. After extinguishing the smell of gunpowder made by a group of idiots, Inuzuka Taka sat down in front of the door. But his emotions are more complicated than those brats from his clan. The Rashomon summoning jutsu, he recognized it since he saw it in the records within the clan. It was the first Hokage's defense ninjutsu, although it was summoned by Sakan. It was obviously not a genin level like Inuzuka Kiba can break it even with their secret ninjutsu. In terms of strength, he didn't think there was anything wrong with Inuzuka Kiba's setting. However, Choji and Neji burst out in strength and defeated their opponent, and only Inuzuka Kiba was in a difficult situation, which made the Inuzuka clan lose face. The painter is one of the strongest in the new generation of Konoha, a direct disciple of Danza, and is highly regarded by Danza and the Third Hokage. There is really no reason for the Inuzuka family to become enemies to him. After thinking for a while, Inuzuka Taka said, the expertise of the Inuzuka clan is not in fighting. They do not have a deep understanding of the family's skills, and it is normal to cause misunderstandings. As the patriarch, his posture cannot be too low. Inuzuka Taka means that Ikeban does not understand the abilities of the Inuzuka family, so there is a certain deviation in the performance of Kiba in the comic. Ikeban understood it. After thinking about it for a while, he smiled and said, "The power of Kiba is very strong. In my setting, it's not that Kiba's own strength is not enough, but it's the ninjutsu that is not strong enough. Like Chidori that has the same shortcomings. Yes, human eyes can't keep up with high-speed movements. Using smell to lock the position is the usual method of our family. In addition, its chakra consumption is quite high, and its power and transitions are not enough." Inuzuka Taka murmured. "The other side is someone who even learns the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Of course, he has very high innate talent and eyesight. It is not difficult to understand some of their clan's secret jutsu problems. Yes, after some interrogation to the assassin, everyone knows that Ikeban has mastered the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. As we all know, the difficulty of space-time ninjutsu is often dozens of times that of normal-level ninjutsu, and the Flying Thunder God Jutsu has not even been mastered by the third Hokage, the second Hokage disciple. Ikeban's understanding of ninjutsu is evident when he can learn these techniques." He thought for a moment, hesitated for a moment, and then asked, "Ikeban-kun, I know that you are extremely capable of developing ninjutsu. If you want to improve the ninjutsu, what direction do you think you can work on it? There are double-headed wolves jutsu, so why not try three-headed wolves jutsu? Three-headed wolves jutsu Fang Wolf Fang. These are all techniques developed by Inuzuka Kiba himself, and Ikeban is also considered to be a Buddha by borrowing flowers here. Three-headed wolves. Before the change, he might feel that only one more head is already stronger jutsu. But Ikeban learned Flying Thunder God Jutsu and created so many medical ninjutsu. So Inuzuka Taka was lost in thought. Three-headed wolves jutsu may be really feasible, but the attack method is certainly not as simple as the previous Fang's wolf fangs, and different modifications are required. But I think you can start another business, such as a veterinarian. Now Konoha has a bright forward/future as a veterinarian." Ikeban was half joking. Inuzuka Taka laughed and said, "Is it best to also work in the ninja dog breeding industry? Now Konoha is no better than before. The establishment and cooperation of the guards have further popularized the ninja dogs of the Inuzuka clan, plus many summoned beasts. The research and development of veterinary medicine, no matter how you think about it, feels a little improper. The Inuzuka clan is good at reconnaissance and offensive, which is the transformation of medical treatment, but now that the medical system is gradually developing, the construction of veterinary medicine is actually not that complicated." After Inuzuka Taka seriously considered it, he also felt that this could be a direction. If he could develop a beast medical technique that could treat the ninja and summoned beasts, it would be of great benefit to the family. After all, there are a lot of rich people who keep pets in the Land of Fire, and there must be a lot of money in income. Inuzuka take thought for a while, and then happily said, "Ikeban-kun, are you interested in ninja dogs? If you like ninja dogs, I can ask you to choose one at my house." "I am not interested in ninja dogs, do you have ninja cats?" Ikeban instead asked as he thought of his sister. Since getting the cat puppet, little Tomiko kept using it so it got broken, but she still keeps it on her side. But if he gave her a ninja cat, she would undoubtedly be happy. Inuzuka Taka fell silent. I'm afraid this guy is looking for faults in him. As we all know, the Inuzuka clan raises ninja dogs, not ninja cats. After a long time, he said, ninja cat doesn't exist in our family, but if you really want it, you can go to the Uchiha clan to have a look. In addition, as long as you pass their trial, I can also give you some basic tips for raising a nin pet. Really? That would be great. Does Uchiha have a cat? A question emerged in Akaban's mind. If it's about Uchiha, he knows about their fire jutsu and also their Sharingan. As for the cat, he vaguely remembered that there seemed to be a few episodes that actually mentioned Uchiha's cat. Forget it, I'll just go and ask. Although he is busy, Tomiko is going home recently, so he has to prepare some gifts. And a ninja cat is a good choice. Uchiha knows him favors. If they really raise a ninja cat, if Akaban asks, he will definitely not refuse. It didn't take long for Akaban to arrive at the guard department. But it seems Uchiha was not in the guard department and seemed to be doing research somewhere, but when Akaban was looking for him, Uchiha's people immediately sent someone to notify him. After waiting for about a few minutes, Uchiha came back. Akaban talked about his request. After listening to it, Uchiha thought for a few seconds, and then replied, "Our family does have a relationship with Nineko, but we and the Nineko are not in a contractual relationship, but a cooperative relationship." TL/N Nineko equals literally means, ninja cat. Partnership. Akaban had some impressions in his mind. Yes, the place where the ninja cats gather is called the Cat Demon Temple. They provide information to our family. And we provide food and funds for the ninja cats. Our relationship is good, but it may be a little difficult to catch one for breeding. Uchiha was a little embarrassed. Akaban helped Uchiha a lot. This time he rarely took the initiative to come to the door to make a request, but his family couldn't do it. It was a bit shameful. So, if I can get the approval of Nineko and let it follow voluntarily, it should be okay, right? Of course, if you need, I can take you there myself. Uchiha nodded. It's not that I want it. I want to catch one for my sister, but if that's the case, I have to talk to my sister first. Akaban scratched his head. Originally, he intended to give it as a surprise. As a result, he had to explain the situation to Uzumaki Tomiko in advance, but he did not know whether Uzumaki Maito would let her go. So if she doesn't want to let her go, he can only save it for later. As Akaban expected, Uzumaki Maito did not agree that Uzumaki Tomiko would go out. For the current little loli, both the ninja and the outside of the village are very dangerous. However, "Grandma, I want to go, I want a cat." Little Tomiko grabbed her hand and kept acting like a baby. The cat puppet behind her kept jumping around because the owner was too excited. The operation seemed strange. "Sigh Tilda, I really can't help you." Uzumaki Maito sighed, then took out a seal scroll. Her hands made a hand seal, and a strange and terrifying red chakra was divided. But in the next second, that red chakra was sealed into the scroll, exuding only a slight breath. After folding it, the small seal scroll was almost like a talisman. "This is nine-tailed chakra." Akaban took a deep breath. "Nine-tailed chakra, this thing is a good thing." Uzumaki Maito handed it to Uzumaki Tomiko and said, "Holding this should be able to subdue the ninja cat you want. If you encounter danger, you will unlock the scroll. I taught you the technique, remember?" "Okay." Little Tomiko nodded. After hearing this, Akaban was slightly startled, and after a few seconds, he understood the meaning. How powerful is the nine-tailed beast, not to mention the ninja cat, even ordinary summoned beasts may not be able to withstand its breath. This chakra alone was enough to shock the ninja cat. But what's most important is that it's a nine-tailed beast chakra. Akaban took a deep breath, concealed his emotions, and then said to Uzumaki Maito, "Then I will protect Tomiko and catch the cat." "No, with Uchiha Yuan's protection, she won't have a problem." Uzumaki Maito said lightly, "Tomiko, the ninja must learn to handle things independently. Since you want to acquire a ninja cat, you must have the determination to do it yourself." "Yes, I understand," little Tomiko said as she looked firm. Of course, she understood that she couldn't be counted as a true ninja without relying on others. What's more, the help given by Maito Uzumaki this time is enough. Akaban thought about it and didn't stop it. A ninja who relies on others will eventually become a useless vase. Although he doesn't want his sister to become a ninja, as the most suitable physique of this generation from the Uzumaki clan as a Jinchuriki, she seems to be unable to escape the fate of a ninja. In that case, she can only get stronger. Watching her sister leave, Akaban was in a complicated mood, and at the same time he was a little bit envious, thinking to himself, "I want to get the nine-tailed chakra." "Do you want the nine-tailed beast?" Uzumaki Maito sat upright with a smile on her face. "What?" Akaban is a little blank and couldn't help but shout in his head, "Why do you know what I am thinking?" "No, it should be just a coincidence." He took a deep breath, calmed himself down, and looked at Uzumaki Maito and asked, "How? You kiddies like danza. If you have been thinking about it for a long time, can you just say no according to your mind?" Uzumaki Maito couldn't help but complain. "I don't want the nine-tailed beast, I want the nine-tails chakra," Akaban said cautiously. "Nine-tailed chakra is a good thing, but nine-tailed beast is a dangerous piece of baggage that can only be possessed by the protagonist. He feels that he is not worthy at all." Uzumaki Maito's face was a bit dark. "Little kid, now you want the Kyuubi chakra but you don't want the Kyuubi. Do you think there is such a good thing in the world? Asshole, I want to tear him apart." Kurama roared inside Uzumaki Maito. Finally, he made up his mind and was willing to reach a reconciliation with them compassionately, but the other party didn't want him. So how can it not be angry? "Grandma Maito, is there any problem?" "It's okay, you go away." Uzumaki Maito waved her hand and let Akaban get out early. Akaban was very sorry, but he ran out of the house without hesitation. Although the Jinchuriki strength was also very strong, in this era, Jinchuriki was no different from prisoners. What's more, Black Zetsu and Madara are staring at Jinchuriki from outside. So he can't afford to provoke them by becoming a Jinchuriki. After leaving the Senju clan, Akaban hesitated for a moment and still set up a shadow clone to track Uchiha Yuan and Uzumaki Tomiko. In the end, he still does not feel at ease, so he wants to follow and observe in secret. As for the main body, the update has to be done by someone. And since the clone goes out to work, he will either split another shadow clone, or he will replace the shadow clone's work and paint by himself. Having 3 clones working at the same time, Akaban hasn't tried it yet. However, when there is a clone to protect Uzumaki Tomiko, he dare not take the risk and can only do his own work. One Piece and Naruto update, 2 choices, and after deciding for a second he finally let the other clone get the update of One Piece. One Piece has moved to the part where Chopper joined. Of the 2 choices, Akaban chose Naruto of course. Regarding his current physical fitness and hand speed, painting 5 episodes is not much hard, and it only takes 2 or 3 hours to complete. But if you include the intensive repairs and partial painting, the time will be extended, but by the afternoon, he still finished all the work. At the same time, the Shadow Clone feedback news finally came. Uzumaki Tomiko has followed Uchiha Yuan to the Cat Demon Palace and has obtained a ninja cat. Cat Demon Temple sounds like a terrific name, but it is actually a ruin of war. Some stray cats gathered under the wreckage of the town and gradually gained the power of some extraordinary beasts. The personality of stray cats makes these ninjas not obey the discipline. They are more like ninjas than pets and beasts. Normally, a shinobi is really not the opponent of those shinobi cats, but what they encounter is the most talented girl of the Uzumaki family, with her sealing jutsu and puppet jutsu. Those cats are only asking for trouble when facing her. And with the 9-tailed chakra, it didn't take long for her to finally conquer a white ninja cat. It is a rare 2-tailed cat. Although it claimed to be Matatabi, it was eventually named 2 White. If you're asking who is 1 White, it's the name of her cat puppet. However, 2 has nothing to do with 2 tails, it's only a rare 2-tailed ninja cat. Knowing the news that his sister had safely received the ninja cat, Akaban was relieved, and after sorting out the secrets of raising a ninja cat and some basic precautions sent by the Inuzuka clan, he incidentally exchanged the list of ninja training techniques listed in the system. Since not many points are required, and it is only worth 10 points. On the second day, little Loli took 2 home, and Akaban wrote the exchanged ninja beast training technique and gave it to her. But today, he can't accompany his sister who hasn't returned home for a long time. Since someone sent him a message. It is estimated that it has something to do with the ninja of the Zuki clan. In the past 2 days or so, the Yamanaka clan should cooperate with the Anbu interrogation to reveal some secrets. However, when Akaban went to Anbu base, he found that the assassin was still asleep. This state was definitely not the appearance of someone confessing or interrogation. More than that, the third Hokage, Danza, Uchiha Yuan and the patriarch of Yamanaka clan are all here. Hokage-sama, teacher. No need to be polite, business matters first, Akaban. I hope you will use your hypnotic ability with Yuan to guide his subconsciousness. At the same time, the sealing team will assist in cracking the information seal that may exist in his mind. Danza said directly. No problem. Hypnosis is a part of illusion, and Akaban's guidance method is very convenient as had directly summoned the dream to Per. Let it help create and guide the dream according to Akaban's words. Seeing so many people, little Dream Tapper knew that things were very important, so he obediently helped Akaban and Uchiha Yuan guide Zuki Gozu's subconsciousness to relax his resistance to external forces. In fact, the Anbu has already cracked a part of the information, that's why they knew Akaban can use the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. However, it is impossible to dig deeper information. Forcibly reading it may cause Zuki Gozu to die directly, which is not what Danza wants to see. A few minutes later, Akaban, Little Dream Tapper Dream Ability, and Uchiha Yuan Mangekyo simultaneously assisted and guided the assassin at last to relax his instinctive vigilance, and the information seal in his mind was lifted by the SEAL team. After that, the patriarch of the Yamanaka clan read all his memories. They are a 3-man squad. One of them has a chakra weapon carefully crafted by the Hidden Mist village, but their goal is not to assassinate, but to use lightning-style paralysis to stun and bring Akaban to Land of Water. The patriarch of the Yamanaka said. What? Akaban was a little confused. It seems that the mist ninja didn't want to kill but wanted to catch him alive. The reason is, well, this is what is in Zuki Gozu's memory. So I don't know whether it's true or false. It's said that the reason is that because the mist daimyo read the comics, he thinks that there are devil fruits in the world, while the Mitsukage believed that Akaban knew many of Konoha's secrets. So after getting a lot of information from Konoha, the assassination squad was dispatched in one shot. Probably the patriarch of the Yamanaka clan felt it ridiculous himself, so he paused for a few seconds in the middle. Akaban was silent for a few seconds. Let's forget about the daimyo of the land of water. I think there is a problem in his mind, but the Mitsukage's purpose always feels a bit strange, unlike Zuki Gozu who thinks it is a simple task. Or is it related to Black Zetsu? Akaban secretly thought. Ever since Uzumaki Mito guessed that there was a secret mastermind in the Hidden Whirlpools village incident, she has always had unnecessary suspicions and will think of him when she encounters suspicious ones. And think for a long time. Black Zetsu and Madara cannot be excluded, since with their ability and wisdom they can do this. Hiruzen thought for a while and said, send ninjas to block the border, and the reconnaissance team to gather, centering on the location provided by this guy's memory, and begin searching for the other missed assassin location on a large scale. I will personally lead the team, while everyone searches the village, also pay attention to concealment. Danza said coldly. Even in the past 2 days, since the Mitsukage personally issued the task, the other party could not give up so easily. Yes. The Anbu ninja was immediately dispatched. My lord, I also want to participate in this raid. Akaban took the initiative to ask. The elimination of hidden dangers is one aspect. In addition, this chakra weapon called fangs must be a weapon of the later generation Kurozuki Reiga. Although its current master is not called Kurozuki Reiga, he should be also a member of the Kurozuki family. Maybe it may not be so perfect and powerful now, but this is not a problem. Konoha has many ninja craftsmen who can make chakra weapons. What they lack are the materials that can make chakra weapons, not the technology. As long as he retrieve fangs, he can completely transform it into the form he needs. There is no reason not to eat meat delivered to his door. Danza glanced at him, nodded slightly, and exhorted, be careful. Don't do anything carelessly, you kid. If you encounter danger, use the Flying Thunder God Jutsu to escape. Said the third Hokage. Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Uchiha Yuan has a strange expression when he heard it, and he was a little surprised. This jutsu. Some scattered records about the era of Madara in the clan seem to mention this jutsu. Although there is not much space jutsu, this is certainly powerful ninjutsu developed by the second Hokage. But this ninjutsu that the second Hokage developed seems even the third Hokage couldn't master. What an amazing talent! Uchiha Yuan then thinks about this period of time he was busy. In order to develop a jutsu-like curse seal that can imprint others, he and his clan members started researching it, but even if he has exhausted what he has learned in all his life, there is still no results. Too sad. He feels a little bitter comparing himself to a child, thinking for a long time, he did not speak for the guards to participate in the search. After all, the opponent is Mist Chunin, and the guards are generally at the middle level. Participating in this kind of battle is simply asking to die. Moreover, if the third Hokage really want them to participate, then he will just issue orders. Teacher, do you want me to take you directly to the preparation department? Using the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Sure. I also want to experience the feeling of using Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Danza nodded, with an interesting look. Flying Thunder God Jutsu is the second Hokage invention, but he has never experienced the feeling of using Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Although interested, the third Hokage didn't say anything. Konoha needs someone to stay behind. What's more, the hunt is under the command of Danza. So why should he go? Akaban didn't hesitate, and he held Danza directly and used the hand seal of the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Since he left a mark in the reserve department, he could teleport directly to the reserve department. In a flash, the eyes of the two turned sharply, and they had arrived at the location of the preparation department. But Danza's face was a little pale, but he quickly recovers as he stood beside the tree with him for a while, and then said, Akaban, you go to the target location first, pay attention to hiding yourself. They must have left their original location, but their location of the transfer must be the place where they can see the situation from their previous place. This is a tactic used by ninjas. Move to a place where you can observe the original position to determine whether the teammate that disappeared betrayed themselves. Akaban nodded and then used the instantaneous technique as he accelerated away. At this time, Danza's face quickly turned pale and retched a few times before leaning against the tree to rest. Not everyone can get used to space conversion. Akaban left the preparation department and quickly went to the destination. Although he did not develop his speed expertise, the speed increase brought about by his strong physique still made his running speed much faster. From the preparation department to his current location, no physical effort was spent at all. In order to prevent himself from being exposed, Akaban used the transformation technique to transform into a small animal, spinning around the target location all the way, without directly entering that location. The perception abilities of the Uzumaki clan are very useful. Although Akaban didn't have the eyes of Kagura, it didn't take long for him to sense the chakra fluctuations of someone. It's far away from his location, but it should be on a high mountain. Looking down from that location, it's not difficult to see every move here. Sure enough, it's like what the teacher said. Akaban took a deep breath, and after thinking for a moment, he walked up the mountain quietly. The opponent shouldn't discover him, as there is no sign of action from their side, so he has enough time to sneak in and approach their direction. But having a rabbit run from the bottom of the mountain to the top of the mountain is really difficult. That's why he walked for a long time with his rabbit form. After crossing the jungle to the foot of the mountain, Akaban didn't dare to use Earth Escape. Instead, he used the transformation jutsu to go all the way from the foot of the mountain to the top of the mountain. With Akaban getting closer to the Mist Ninja position, he can already feel the chakra breath of the opponent. A strong opponent. Obviously, the opponent did meet the characteristics of Thunder Blade. He is a hidden Mist Ninja who is proficient in lightning style and water style. Apart from him, there is another ninja that he has no information about, since Zuki Gozu has no specific information about this person in his memory, but there are some indications from the memory that this is a Jonin, and they can't rule out the possibility that he is a Land of Water Kekii Genkai. In the current Land of Water, the Yuki and Take-Tori clan have not been wiped out, and they are still strong, contributing to Hidden Mist Village. Akaban was thinking about tactics outside their range. Determine the next plan. First, defeat the ninja from the Kurozuki family and then snatch the chakra weapon fags, and then consider whether to deal with the remaining assassin. Anyway, with Flying Thunder God Jutsu in his hand, escaping from them is easy, so he is not worried. Thinking of this, Akaban left a mark in place. Afterwards, he withstood the state of transformation technique and continued to lurch inside. But the next second, a piece of water splashed all over, and then instantly turned into a piece of ice needles. 1,000 flying water needles of death. Akaban was alert and instantly lurked in the soil, but just as he emerged from the soil, a thunder light suddenly strikes. After quickly jumping away, a figure appeared not far in front of him. Holding a pair of swords, it should be the fangs. Not far away, a ninja is standing on a tree. It should be Kekii Genkai from Yuki clan. HMPH, how dare a mouse quietly lurked here, let me see who it is. The mission objective has been delivered. The Yuki's ninja said lightly and then watched all around to prevent Akaban's shadow clone from deceiving them as the true body cast genjutsu in the dark. Subsequently, the ice needle flew. The corners of Akaban's mouth raised slightly, avoiding the ice needles, and his hands made a hand sealed. Hidden mist jutsu. O tilde using a mist jutsu against us. The assassin mocked as he held his both sword, and then chakra gathered around it, and a thunderbolt came directly over Akaban's head. Moving in the fog is too simple for Hidden Mist Ninja. However, under Hidden Mist Jutsu, Akaban's goal was achieved. Mangekyo Sharingan, open. Illusion into reality. Flying Thunder God Jutsu imprint surfaced on the ground behind the most assassin using the fangs. He noticed something wrong, but when he reacted, Akaban had appeared behind him. Then a hand flicked across his legs, and he immediately felt a sharp pain. And before he couldn't react, the muscles of his legs were severed. And the second. Boom! A punch that was improved by chakra-enhanced strength howled. With a punch, the Mist Ninja was hit a dozen meters away and stopped until it hit the rock. But the tremendous force caused the rock to burst open. In fact, he didn't need to see the ending of that guy. He took a full blow from Akaban and almost died so that Mist Ninja have no ability to escape from his current state. What? Isn't this guy from the Kurama clan? Why is he so strong? The Mist Ninja from the Yuki clan eyelids jumped as he witnessed his teammate's defeat. With this degree of injury, he knows that he won't survive. So he can only run. He didn't hesitate, turning his head to leave, but the illusion fell silently without him realizing, and what treated him was a fiery world full of lava heat. The Yuki clan possesses an ice-style Kekii Genkai, but their ability is useless in a lava field. Because there is no trace of water here, even the ice needles are difficult to condense. Although he understood very well that this place must be an illusion, but with his own ability, he couldn't escape from the illusion. Kurama clan genjutsu, yes, there are records in the clan, and to escape from their illusion, I have to empty my head to make myself semi-conscious. He forced himself to empty his mind and gradually fell into a shallow sleep. When he woke up, he found Akaban behind him. And the last thing he saw was a fist on his face that made him unconscious. It's surprisingly easy. It seems that I'm quite strong now, but it's mainly because the other party doesn't know my information, so there is bad information. Akaban thought secretly while searching for equipment. While thinking secretly, he then stared at Yuki clan's ninja. Ice-style Kekii Genkai. After surveying the surroundings with his perception ability, he used the blade of the fangs to make a cut in the body of the ninja from the Yuku clan. Then blood trickled out. Following this, there are declining points in the ice-style Kekii Genkai on his system. After putting the blood for a while, he stuffed the blood-enhancing pill into the ninja's mouth without hesitation, and the points continued to drop until it is only 1,000 points. Akaban wanted to continue bleeding the ninja, but based on his knowledge of medical ninjutsu, this guy would really die if he continues. So he stopped. After using medical ninjutsu to help treat their wounds, Akaban grabbed their hands one by one and flew back to the preparation department. Danza was still under the tree and saw Akaban come back, but when he saw the two unconscious assassins in his hands, he couldn't help being startled. So fast. Teacher, let everyone withdraw, it's done. Akaban threw them to the ground. Danza took a look, and both were very weak. One was hit by a fist on the rock. Even after treatment, the broken bone was not in the correct position. The other looked slightly better, but it was also miserable. It seemed to have lost a lot of blood, his face was pale and weak. Even if they wake up, I am afraid they will not have the ability to escape. After thinking for a moment, Danza asked, this guy belongs to the Kurozuki clan, what about the other one? Yuki's ice-style ninja, Akaban said. Not bad. Danza's eyes lit up since the other party was a Keki Genkai user, so he could study it carefully. Akaban took out the two fangs and said, Teacher, this sword. It's yours. Danza glanced at him, then nodded slightly. Akaban himself didn't use the thunder attribute sword, so he should be giving it to someone else. Thank you, teacher. Akaban smiled and sealed them in the seal scroll. During this time, Sakumo was also working hard as his substitute instructor, and his birthday seemed to be approaching. And this chakra weapon fangs is the best gift for him. When someone caught them, he naturally didn't need to dispatch the Anbu. Danza used Anbu's secret method to inform the Anbu personnel, and then took them one by one, carrying the two of them to go back, without any intention of asking Akaban to send him back. Teacher, if they need help in their intelligence torture, please feel free to summon me. Akaban mentioned before leaving. These two assassins may know more information, otherwise, Akaban would not try to save their lives. Okay. Danza nodded slightly. Subsequently, the instantaneous technique was used as he left. It seems that after experiencing the Flying Thunder God Jutsu once, he does not plan to experience it again in a short time. Akaban glanced at the thunder sword in his hand after taking them out again. Both swords are not long and belong to the short knife series suitable for Sakumo. If it feels right on his hands, he feels that Sakumo can use it directly without reshaping. There shouldn't be a saying about the Seven Swordsmen yet, but I'm not sure whether the Hidden Mist Village has the scroll of summoning ninja sword. Well, just go find Grandma Mito. In Konoha, the most familiar with sealing jutsu and summoning jutsu is undoubtedly Uzumaki Mito. Anyway, he has a good relationship with her family. So it's okay to find her, and also see how number 2 is getting along with everyone. In addition, all the enemies have been captured, so the final test can also begin during this time. TL/N, number 2 is the two-tailed white cat. But the information about these swords is still important. In case Hidden Mist Village really masters the ability to summon back the Thunder Sword's fangs, then his hard work will be completely wasted. Although there is no imprint on the Senju clan, he left an imprint on the comic shop, so it didn't matter as he directly used the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. When he arrived at the yard of the Senju clan, Akaban first heard a cat cry with a pleasant noise. Turning in, he saw a white cat with two tails squatting on the side of Uzumaki Mito's chair, with a gentle and lovely appearance. If it weren't for the origin of this cat, anyone who saw it would think it was an ordinary cat. It is estimated that this cat could not stand straight after seeing Uzumaki Maito's legs and feet, let alone being fierce. It didn't even have the courage to look at her. But when it turned around to see Akaban, it gave a fierce meow. However, Akaban glared at it. Meow. The stupid cat was so scared that he immediately jumped into the house and hid in little Tomiko's room. Strong murderous spirit. Uzumaki Maito frowned slightly, sat up, took a look and said, "You just killed someone." "No, just went out and punched twice." Akaban unsealed the scroll seal, took out the fangs inside, and handed it to Uzumaki Maito. "Can you see if any summoning jutsu or other technique formula has been applied here?" "Let me see." Uzumaki Maito was about to take it. But after a glance, she frowned and said, "Wash it." "Really particular." Akaban made a hand seal with both hands, mobilized chakra to condense a cloud of water, and then rinsed the swords. Then she took it. After looking at both swords, she poured chakras into them, and it didn't take long for a technique to emerge. The next second, the nine-tailed chakra was injected. The violent and tyrannical nine-tailed chakra instantly destroyed the surgical structure inside the sword under the control of Uzumaki Maito, destroying all traces of hidden mist left in it. Done. She threw the swords back, then Akaban caught them carefully, and then he was stunned for a few seconds. Is it so simple? The technique formula is very rough, the summoning jutsu style construction is incomplete, such a weak technique, it's from the Mist Village, right? Uzumaki Maito sneered. You are brilliant and wise. Akaban gave a thumbs up, just guessing from these that it was Misty Swords. It is estimated that Uzumaki Maito also hates Mist Ninja. He looked at the swords over and over again but didn't see the difference between the two swords. Speaking of which, I heard that you caught a ninja from the Zuki clan before. Which clan is it this time? Uzumaki Maito asked while shaking. A man from the Yuki and Kurozuki family. As Akaban answered, he glanced upstairs. The white cat above jumped out again. It looked down from upstairs and looked alive, but perceptually, it was a puppet. Not long after, number 2 jumped out of the window and looked down carefully. Akaban gave it an angry look, and the guy retracted again. In terms of appearance and pattern, this ninja cat is probably the one that will overlap with Itakai and Sajuke in the future. This cat's aptitude is pretty good. According to the method you gave, it should be able to become a good ninja cat. Uzumaki Maito said lightly. Although the Inuzuka clan raises dogs, their training and cultivation are common. But with the training method from his system, can definitely enhance that two-tailed cat. He chatted with Uzumaki Maito and little Tomiko who came to see him for a while. Uzumaki Maito already knew that Akaban could practice the Flying Thunder God Jutsu and even gave him the technique formula of second Hokage, which Akaban readily accepted. After chatting for a while, he found a reason and slipped away from the Senju clan. Uzumaki Maito squinted and looked in the direction Akaban was leaving for a few seconds. Grandma, what's wrong with brother? Little Tomiko asked strangely as she also felt something. Your brother has many secrets, but he is kind to the village and loves everyone. Maybe in the future, he can become a good Hokage. Uzumaki Maito smiled and stroked her hair. The little girl did not understand the deep meaning, but she knew that Uzumaki Maito was not malicious, but was full of protection for Akaban. After Akaban left from Senju's side, he walked down the street while staring at the paper ball in his hand that painted the second Hokage Flying Thunder God Jutsu cutting technique formula. The pattern is similar to the part seen in the comics, and it is certain that it is indeed the second Hokage's handwriting. But what worries him is not the technique itself, but Uzumaki Mito's original intention. Knowing that he has mastered the Flying Thunder God, why did she even take this out? Did I think too much? Akaban thought secretly in his heart. A person like Uzumaki Mito can't be underestimated at all. This is why he is not willing to go to the Senju clan if not necessary. Thinking carefully, he felt more and more that Uzumaki Mito had noticed something. Is it his physique? But he didn't show the red hair trace of the Uzumaki family. Even judging from his strong physique, chakra and stronger vitality than ordinary people, he would not be directly suspected of having the Uzumaki family's physique. It is estimated that there is no logical doubt no matter what, they will just think he has a problem. Forget it, it's useless to think too much. Although this technique is not useful, it is still first-hand material and will help others in the future. Akaban thought for a long time, and no longer struggled with things like guessing what Uzumaki Mito was thinking. Whether she guessed it or not, her offering him this kind of jutsu meant that she was on Akaban's side provided Akaban did not betray Konoha. As for betraying Konoha, will a lazy person like him perform so many things just to betray Konoha? This picture is obviously impossible. Thinking of this, he feels much more relaxed. In Hidden Sand Village, a research institute was quietly established. For the time being, there are only Shaman, Zack, Kyo and Ibizo, 4 people in the research institute. Teacher, do we have to spend a lot of money to imitate Konoha Construction Institute? Zack sighed softly. This research institute cost them a lot of money, and now, he hasn't seen the benefits of returning from circulation. Of course there is, if it weren't for research, could there be today's magnetic jutsu? A simple word from Shaman made this disciple unable to refute. Ibizo brought in a pile of materials, took a breath and said, according to Anbus report, Konoha used a variety of new types of ninjutsu in the war on the land of Uzumaki. But what is more shocking is that some of their new types of ninjutsu come from this book. As he spoke, he pulled out one of the one-piece volumes from the stack of books. This is a plot where Nami uses the mirage to create a clone. Yes, Konoha is turning the techniques in the comics into reality. I heard that Konoha's medical techniques are also developing rapidly. And it is also the reason why so many ninjas were saved in war. If we have that level of medical ninjutsu, we wouldn't lose so many ninjas in the land of birds. Kyo sighed. But how can we beat Konoha if all we do is to learn from Konoha? Zack was a little annoyed. As soon as these words came out, the other 3 fell silent. Defeat Konoha. It's too difficult. Shaman stayed silent for a long time before continuing, I can't do it anymore. It depends on you, the generation, so you can't just look at the present, but also look at the future and see more distant benefits. Yes. Zack lowered his head. He sincerely admires this teacher, and because of this, he hates Konoha who hurt his teacher even more. My lords, yesterday's update is available in the Land of Fire. An Anbu ninja arrives and hands over a comic. Okay. Shaman took it and turned the page to look carefully. The content continues from the previous plot. It is still the story of Konoha 4 genins and 1 Chunin chasing after Sajuk, but there have been subtle changes in this book. Gaara, Tamrai, Kankuro appear. Speaking of which, this team is the strongest in Sand Village, right? Ibizo couldn't help but complain. Shaman recalled the plot, then slowly nodded. The fourth generation Kazekage was assassinated by Orochimaru, and many ninjas died in the Konoha collapse plan. These three people are really the strongest in Sand Village beside Maki. At any rate, the Sand Village, one of the 5 big villages, fell into this kind of field. How miserable! Zack clenched his fists, took a deep breath and said, "Teacher, I will make the village stronger. Sooner or later we will surpass Konoha." "Okay," Shaman answered while reading. The silhouettes of Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobirama appeared in his mind unconsciously. Although Tobirama is not as good as the former, he is still extremely powerful. The two brothers are all geniuses at the top. He thought that Konoha would weaken for a while after the time, but now, Sarutobi Hiruzen cooperated with Shimura Danza, one master inside and one outside, making Konoha better than before. The scariest thing is Konoha's next generation. And in Konoha, there are 9 future strong ninjas in this generation alone while they have only Zack. Surpassed Konoha. That's it for this part guys, hope you like the video. Like, share and subscribe the channel. And also tell me in the comment section down below if you have any recommendation. Thanks for watching.